And on top of Sunil, who is our chair of the Los Angeles SIGGRAPH group, behind him there are also officers sitting in our participant list that are also with us. And just to give them a special notice, there is Kyle Carlin is out there in Florida for whatever reason. And we have Elizabeth, who is over at Digital Domain. We have Dave Kurlander, who's fixing mainframes somewhere, who's our treasurer. And also Timothy, who you just saw on here a moment ago, who runs our volunteers. Leonard, who is a black box that says LA SIG, is our electronic services. And he has put up with me through the ages. I'm Joan Collins, and I'll be your moderator this evening. Also, I've been with this chapter continuously since 1980, and that's a long time, people. It's a long time. But tonight, I just wanted to let you know what we're doing here. What are we doing, Joan? Well, we're doing the studio work at home, and here we are at home essentially. Let me adjust lighting. Ooh, moody. And I just wanted to say we're going to go quickly into topics like completing work on time, within budget, protecting IP, little details, and then also how these guys are actually supporting all of these employees at home. I think they have drive-throughs, and the employees just come through and say, yeah, I need a couple workstations for my home. I don't know. We want to know how all that works. Anyway, just to briefly tell you who these guys are, Christopher Leslie is the head of technology over at FuseFX. I think we have done a meeting over there. There's a few people out there know what they're talking about. One of my favorite visual effects groups. Christopher has over 10 years of large-scale technology experience, and when he says large-scale technology, his history spans the United States defense as well as the visual effects industry. He started with an ISSO, which is Information Systems Security Officer, and he was also with visual effects companies like Prime Focus and Encore. Encore bred quite a few people in this industry to be like Christopher. It was a good stomping ground, actually, to try to learn real rapidly what we're doing. Also, we have with us Saker Klippsten. I'm hoping I said that pretty darn close.
Yep.
Yeah. He's a rock star himself. In 2013, Saker co-founded Zoic Labs. I can't believe it's been that long already. Anyway, it's an advanced visualization company focused on the intersection of data and narrative design, collaboration, and emerging technologies to build proprietary products for a diverse range of private companies, as well as the U.S. Department of Defense. There it is again, people, and the intelligence communities. I promise I will watch what I say tonight, you guys. And also on the visual effects side, we have Aldo, and I'm going to say your name, Ruggiero.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, was I close there?
Yeah, no, not really. It's not Spanish, it's Italian. So you don't do the Ruggiero, you do the Ruggiero.
Ruggiero.
Oh,
the GI goes together.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you say it's better than my wife. And she has the last name.
Oh, if she cooks, I'm coming over. Anyway, Aldo has also worked on a variety of feature films and episodic TV. He's got 2 Emmys, 2 visual effects nominations, and I mean Visual Effects Society nominations, with over 15 years of experience in the industry. That'll do. And he's done such things like The Last Resort and The Walking Dead, etc. There's more to it, though. I want to kind of do a little bit more on these guys also. But the main program tonight, and what finds us all here in our homes talking, which is so weird, due to the COVID-19, because of people like who you are looking at right now, not me. But due to COVID-19, work does not stop. And I'd like to actually thank you guys for making that happen. Here's your Academy Award for actually doing that. I can't even imagine, but we're going to get into that tonight for what they've actually had to go through. And kudos all the way around. There isn't really an award for that yet, but I'm sure there will be. But the panel discussion addresses how our independent studios are opened by following also, and I don't know how you guys did this. This is why I'm going to be asking lots of questions. You had to follow state and local guidelines as well as guild guidelines, as well as who knows what, along with, delivering specific workarounds and making it happen. I could end it right there, just, shake my head the rest of the time thinking, I don't know how I do. Anyway, my life as a producer is hard until this happened, and now hats off to you guys. Anyway, let me go into it just a little bit more to give you a background on these guys, because we are open for questions as we go, but let them try to get through some of the bulk of these questions, because a lot of your questions will be answered, hopefully, and if not, at the end we will take as many of the questions that you want to throw into Q&A or chat. Leonard and I and everybody else, I'll be watching that too, not that closely, but anyway. Let me just get into Christopher Leslie, just a little tiny touch more. Anyway, he brings the unique blend of IT team to FuseFX. And I don't know if you looked up FuseFX. You might want to, but not right now, not during this session. Listen up. Anyway, he was leveraging his experiences with large-scale secure compute environments. And I'm sure all of your clients really appreciate your background here. A multifaceted technologist. Chris's career and the accolades span implementing systems to help protect our war fighters, migrating technologies to modernize NASA. I kid you not, these bios are out of the world. Building robust and agile systems that span continents and ushering in a new age of system support personnel. At Prime Focus, Chris migrated 2D and 3D conversations. Oh, let me just take that over. Chris migrated 2D, 3D conversion from US to Canada, and at Encore, he modernized and virtualized all core infrastructure. My mind just exploded. Anyway, Chris's large pool of knowledge helps bring and keeps FuseFX ahead of the visual effects curve. During these times, Chris has exercised abilities as proactive technologist, setting up remote access to all 500 plus FuseFX employees globally as at the very onset of the pandemic. Yes, we're going to ask some of these questions. As the head of technology, Chris's prime objective is to direct technology infrastructure at FuseFX. His expertise in leadership and tenacity for leveraging his acquired knowledge have supported leading FuseFX into the technological forefront of the visual effects. That is just Chris. And now let me just go on, because this is gonna hone your little question and answer period. These guys are real deal. I was really floored when we got all these guys. Saker is only the CTO of technology at Zoic. No big deal. Saker has been CTO of Zoic and an Emmy award-winning visual effects company for the past 19 years. Hey man, I got 40 on you. He is responsible for creating Zoic's global studio pipeline and infrastructure, including facility and data center builds, software development, storage, networking, and improving remote collaboration and multi-site workflows. He has been a force in the community and early adopter of technology from, and this is important to tonight's conversation, to the likes of Islan, is that how you say it?
Isolon?
I knew that. Isolon, Teradici. Is that how you say it? Good enough. Google. I got that one right. Previously working for Iridium, a commercial visual effects company, and holds a patent for data visualization. He holds a patent. I woke up and made breakfast this morning. These guys. Recently, he has been part of a team to help tackle the SARS-CoV-2 virus. Is that right? And then has 2 papers in both Cell and Nature publications. Of course you do. That's just sacred. And now for Aldo. Aldo Ruggiero.
That was perfect.
Really? Well, he's the visual effects soup at Crafty Apes, another company y'all should look up, but not right now. Aldo understands this dynamic field and how to implement new solutions to old problems and to effectively create outstanding visuals. Aldo has worked on thousands of shots. I guess you just lost count, huh? On the thousands of shots there.
I just counted the shots that I supervised the year. Like the other day, I have a count because that's what I do.
Okay, well, yeah, we should have
1,300 just in the last year and a half.
Just in the last year.
But it's not that much for big companies.
Not for you, no, it's not that much for you, no. Anyway, these are these guys. He's created highly realistic looking water effects, which back in the day was, if you said water, I said, okay, we'll add a couple more million onto the budget. I guess now it's probably real time by now, huh? Particles, water, no problem. For the show The Last Resort, he's killed walkers in The Walking Dead, generated thousands of spectators for stadiums of all sizes and award shows that need them. He's exploded, shattered, and torched evil, really, of all creeds and generated terrains, clouds, oceans to navigate through. Anyway, are you down in Atlanta right now? Is that where you are?
That's where I am. It's 10 o'clock at night.
Oh man, okay, I'll speed up. Anyway, I actually could go on forever about these guys. I just wanted you guys to all kind of get the feel of who we are dealing with here tonight. So now we're going to jump into this. I am going to throw them in their league, what I call softball pitches, but they'll probably sleep through these questions. Anyway, please welcome our panelists. And let's start the first questions regarding production schedules and redoing timelines when we started this all up, because everything has changed. Let me just say, Christopher, let's start with you.
That's a good question. And unfortunately, I don't have much info into that because I was taking care of the computers that allowed these guys to do their thing. So
right on. But did you already have tech solutions in place to help make deadlines?
Yeah, we did. We actually did quite a bit of research before the whole COVID pandemic hit in regards to sharing work between facilities. So we already had a lot of the pieces in place before going into this crazy world that we now live in to help us get these guys remote as quickly as possible. I remember when we were doing a lot of the planning, we were trying to figure out, how best to get, large droves of artists home to be with their families and work remotely. And we had kind of picked up on a project that we had where we were testing a lot of workstations in the cloud. We were using HP RGS at the time, now it's Z Central, to do some test workflows from Vancouver to Los Angeles. And when the pandemic hit, we flipped it over to what we were previously testing, expanded it out, upgraded a few internet connections here and there, and off we went.
Piece of cake. So what you're saying then is no projects got canceled or pushed.
I don't believe so, but I probably should ping production to make sure. But yeah, we were able to hit everything.
Really, so really, you're making us all feel a little bit better. The panic is starting to melt away. Seika, let me just ask you, were you involved with revamping remote solutions for any real-time effects going on over there?
Yeah, so it was kind of surreal in a way watching it happen, because it was kind of like a zombie apocalypse in a weird way. Like you're watching New York start to go down, and again, I mentioned, we've been using Teradici for a long time. So prior, and I'm sure some folks on attendees will know what that is, but it's a remote.
We do now, yeah.
Yeah. And we've been using it for, I would say, about 14 years now. We were one of the first customers. They're based up in Canada in Vancouver. And we were originally looking at it because we moved into a really old building in Vancouver that didn't have enough power. So we built out a data center and then put all of our equipment there, and then everybody remoted from the office to the workstations in our data center. So we were and we essentially we built out Vancouver that way, Los Angeles and New York. So while we had this kind of like moat around us for security reasons because of MPAA guidelines and a lot of security that everybody, I'm sure, has to deal with on a daily basis. Yeah. We basically, the long and the short of it was, it took us longer to basically undo the mousetrap to allow people to work remotely because we had to keep everybody locked down. So essentially we just had people grab their portals, their little thin clients, and go home, take their monitors, mouse, keyboard, tablets, go home. And while that took place, within about a week, we had about all 400 people up and running, remoting in, and we were pretty much good to go. We luckily had just migrated to Microsoft Teams about 3 weeks before this went down, like before anything went down. It was just part of our course of operations. We were getting rid of our Cisco phone system and migrating to Microsoft Teams and moving our on-premise Exchange servers to the cloud. So we pretty much didn't miss a beat. Just we had a few hiccups, which I think everybody did, with artists having to upgrade their internet or having to peer with Spectrum directly to get around some latency issues and Comcast and that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, don't just kind of wash that aside. That has to have been a huge issue with the home bandwidth issues.
Yeah.
I mean, did you
After
have to
7
make
o'clock.
calls? Did you have to make calls yourself to kind of help them?
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the most frustrating parts, right, is dealing with frantic artists, right? So you're trying to help them walk through, how to deal with talking to Comcast, how to, we have some insiders there at Spectrum and Comcast trying to like get them to the front of the line to get their connections upgraded and stuff like that. But overall, it was pretty good. I think it was really cool to see just kind of everybody come together, setting up an assembly line of asset tracking and saying, okay, I got these monitors and these keyboard and whatever, and then getting out the door, because we wanted them to just get home and be with their families, right? That was kind of like the number one thing. But at the same time, we had to keep trying to deliver as much work as we could. At this, we pretty much had a ton of work until about a month ago. I would say we were still going, and then things have slowed down a bit, but hopefully things are picking back up. So visual effects and post-production at the tail end is always a horrible thing, but
Well, they're shooting right now. They're shooting like crazy.
They're shooting right now, but my wife works at CBS, and she's in production, and it's like a start and stop type of thing, right? So if somebody gets COVID, they shut down for a couple of weeks, and then it picks back up, and then it's an interesting conundrum.
Right. Here in Atlanta, people, just are part of a team. And as long as you're part of the team, you go and test yourself periodically. We have a few shows here that we are supervising, and basically we have a few people, like most of our supervisors are busy right now, just going on set or keeping, doing the 2-hour trip to get COVID for the team that they're in, so they can keep on shooting and trying to keep people isolated as much as possible.
Although, is your company paying for those tests or the
No, usually it's the production companies.
Oh, the production. It's part of the budget,
Yeah, production pays for the on-set stuff, pretty much.
Really? Oh, you're learning so much. I'm so glad.
Look, I remember I went to work on a Monday. I did this before I knew it. I had 2 monitors in my hand and a big client, and I was kicked out of the door just walking out. So
yeah, it felt like people were robbing the place. I go into the office I would say once a week, just to kind of check on things. I'm the only one right now going in, and it's like it's bizarre. It's like somebody came in and ransacked the place. Like you just have cables and things laying around, and
you know, I know Fuse because I work there. I do not know Zoic. I haven't had the chance and the honor to work there. But Crafty Apes is a little bit more of family-owned company, which is like, you want the chair? Take the chair. I mean, we had the IT person is one of the brothers that they own the company, and it's like, what do you need, cable? I got 100 feet right there. I ordered another 2,000. Take the cable and go home and connect it.
Aldo and Saker, how are you handling inventory? Were you beeping them out, or did you kind of have to handwrite it down? I doubt that you were.
Just a FuseFX supervisor myself. Saker is the one that needs to worry about this.
We tie everything into our shotgun database, so we already do inventory for media that comes in and out. So basically, it was just slapping barcodes on everything and scanning it as it went out. And then prior to something I should say, about the week before, kind of, we knew things were going to get shut down, and it was just a matter of time, like when in LA and New York was kind of the first thing.
Yep.
And I put out a survey to everybody, and asking a ton of questions: who your ISP was.
Yep.
What, do you have monitors at home? Do you have a tablet at home? Mouse and keyboard, chair, desk, whatever it was. So we had a good sense of what everybody needed, but we just kind of kept everybody at work until the last possible moment. And then it was just kind of like, all right, go home, take all this.
It was within a week for us. Was that the same for you guys?
Yeah, it was about a week. And I was going to say, we had something very similar to that. We had set up a war room in one of our conference rooms and said, all right, we know it's coming. Let's get, the topmost technical people in the room, and let's sit them down and, ask them a litany of questions. So who's your ISP? What's your setup at home? Are you wired? Are you wireless?
Wow.
And then going through the whole thing, and they're like, all right, off you go. Let's test it, make sure it works. And within 3 days, we were like, all right, instead of doing batches of 10, we're going to do batches of 20, and then 30. And before you know it, the building was a ghost town.
Did you guys
I can imagine that war room. Like, if I would have had that war room, and whatever you guys would have said would be like, good, just do it. But Aldo, did you, from the other side, you're not the barcode side, but was there anything else that you needed besides all the monitors that you ripped off? Did you?
Well, the ones that I stole from. But
in those first couple of weeks, did you take home the things that you thought you needed?
I can tell you, I went home with the 2 monitors, and within 3 hours, I was connected and working again, which was really, really weird because nobody else was. I was one of the first one being at home. And so I'm like, oh, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. Then all of a sudden, when everybody switched, it actually made working easier. There were expectations, that you are going to be close to your chat. That if I ask you a question, you answer. Even more so than when you are in the office. When you're in the office, you walk by, he's out for lunch.
That's one of the problems. That's one of the problems we're having now is that, I got Microsoft Teams on my phone here, and I'm just, I'm 24. Not that I wasn't 24/7 before, but everybody else is 24/7. So trying to tell people to be like, hey, get away from your computer, go take a break, go hang out with your kids or whatever it might be. That's the kind of the toughest part now is because you're just, what else are you going to do? You're kind of at home. You might as well just kind of work. So people are just.
I do have a question for you guys. I mean, to us, it's happening that now people are like, oh, this is working. We were told it couldn't work ever. I want to do this all the time now.
I wanted to have a panel just on MPAA and security in the major studios because I've been pushing against them for years, saying that this is just BS. They're holding us back in so many ways from evolving like the rest of the world. I mean, it's really funny. We're like visual effects is in this weird little bubble. Like we were tethered or chained to our desk, like our facility. We weren't allowed to work from home for security reasons, right? They trusted. Nothing was secure, but cat's out of the bad, guys. And I'm getting all these requests for security audits, and not to be rude, but I'm kind of just giving them the finger. Like, I don't know what to tell you guys. I mean, you can come in security audit. There's nothing here. And
it doesn't make economic sense, right? Because I live in Atlanta. I live in a house. It's 3 times the size of the house that I lived in LA. I pay a quarter of the mortgage. And imagine being able to live in places. You reduce the cost, increase the profit, and you're able to reduce the cost for the movies to be made, keep the work in America. And that's the thing that really is kind of like, why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's like you should be able to live wherever you want, however you want. And Christopher will just hook you all up.
Yeah, you're still beholden to tax credits, right? So there's still tax credits, and the work still needs to be done in certain provinces and countries.
Yeah,
we have found that
this might change things. This might change.
Here, for us, I mean, I was working on this movie, like The Babysitter here, and we were set on an 80-20 for New York. COVID hits. New York is hit hard. We found that there is a dialogue there too. There was a dialogue, and it's like, hey, look, it's kind of a pandemic. Do you want your movie done on time? And we got the movie done on time, on budget, defeating expectations. Is at the end of the day, it's all about making the client happy. And if the client can be happy with these things, and we all kind of had to take a step back from the money side of things. And Crafty Apes is really good at that. Like they just really look at you as a person and like, okay, what do you want? What makes you happy? Okay, you'll have it. And that is something that is really rare in our environment. At least I didn't have a chance to live that, where the owners of this company are artists, one of the best I have ever met in my life. It's been a humbling experience for me.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just incredible artists. When everything goes down, you cannot have. Not everybody can be the best artist. And I've seen them just taking shots that were sitting there, not being able to be delivered, and just touching them and finish them up, and just I fit into that category of like, okay, something is not going well, I'll spend the night and fix it, But the most important thing that I've learned here is that to have in-person meetings every day with the people that you count on.
You mean in person on Zoom?
In person on Zoom.
Yeah.
Yes. Every single day. Do a scrum at 10-15 minutes. Even if you don't have anything to say, you say, hey, are you all right?
Hey man, how's it going?
Yeah.
That's right. And
for anyone who's on Teams, I don't know if you guys have been starting getting those well-being reports. But mine have been looking pretty scary lately. And, we're starting to really look into how much, email traffic are you taking care of, or how many messages are you using and all that stuff. Because, now we're kind of in the flow of things and things are good. And we're doing a lot of things that we didn't think we were able to do before. For us, it was, you always had an on-prem chat system that you couldn't use on your phone and you couldn't use at home.
Right.
And now you have it and everyone's like, this is awesome. But now it's like, okay, well, let's take a step back and say, are you answering lots of calls after 8 p.m.? Are you doing all the things that you should be doing for, creating breaks for yourselves? And we're seeing some pretty interesting data on some of the data that we've been collecting from our network on, the massive amount of emails and chat messages and Teams and screen shares and all kinds of fun stuff. And now it's really trying to figure out, how do we maintain the balance based on the data that Microsoft's collecting on our environment?
Now, data is one thing. Also, I had a question on going back one step to, I guess data storage is not a problem for anybody working at home because you're just kind of proxy doing stuff and shoving it, and it's still somewhere, it's being
you just get the email. What's going on with your show? Can we archive it? Usually, and it's the Saker and Christopher equivalent say, "What the heck? You finished this show 3 months ago. Come on, let's get it done."
Exactly. Again, because everything's remote, data doesn't leave the facility. It's like a cable box, right? Pixels are being streamed to your little portal or your laptop or however you're remotely accessing it. So as far as like data management, it's remained the same. We go in, I have 2 guys down here in LA, our desktop support guys, and they go in once a week to swap tapes into the tape robot for our deep archiving. We back up Vancouver, and then Vancouver backs up LA, and then Vancouver backs up New York. So that's pretty much the only thing that has changed, is having to go into the office to swap tapes. And eventually, I think we go to the cloud once the numbers cancel out, but tape is still cheaper.
Really? But you could still kind of monitor that all from your home, right?
Yeah, everything is remote. It's been really great. And again, kind of going back to the whole MPA security stuff, it's just I don't see us. I think somebody asked a question, how long do you see us working remotely and stuff like that? And we talk about it every day. What does Zoic look like in the next couple years? What, or even longer, coming out of the pandemic. And, people have huge investments in real estate. You look at Netflix is hedging against working from home. They want to bring everybody back on prem. They're buying up the hundreds of thousands of square feet of real estate. Yeah. I'm sure everybody's been reading about it, over 500,000 square feet at this point.
Well, Pinterest gave up a big building, and they paid like $60 million to just say, I don't want this anymore.
Giving up space, right? So
Google in Berlin.
It's really interesting to see. And we've been thinking about, we have probably, I don't know, all combined 100,000 square feet between all the offices. And we're thinking about maybe, shrinking that down and recreating that space into just kind of like theater rooms for review, for high quality review. Somebody asked about how do we QC stuff. There's still going to be the need to see stuff projected on a big screen, sitting in a theater room with your laser pen and that sort of thing. But I would say 85 to 90% of it is done from home right now.
Right.
PDG is built to lossless, so people can look at stuff at 4K on their desktop, no problem.
But you can zoom in, man. Like you can zoom in as much as you want.
Well, you can delay a final as much as you want. Just don't do it. Hey, but you're saying though that there's no need to worry at all anymore about protecting your client's intellectual property.
I don't think so. I think if you look at where where the leaks are, most of the time, and I would say, I think I only know of one time it was at a visual effects house. Only one time. All the rest of the times, it's usually in the distribution, dubbing, is where the leaks occur. Yep. I think our community of visual effects artists know, like, this is their livelihood. Nobody wants to shoot themselves in the foot. It's a small industry. If you are caught doing anything wrong or putting something up on the internet, like, you're done. Like,
you're not going to work anymore if you do anything like that.
You won't get a job anywhere else if you're on a list, right? So I just feel like I'm in agreement. Okay, you can do like a quarterly or a biannual security check-in. Like, Disney makes you watch some stupid cartoon every 6 months. It's really kind of insulting, actually.
You get a certificate.
Yeah, I get a nice little certificate, and I get my thing. But I think there's a need for that, just to remind people. But the amount of NDAs that everybody signs on a company basis or per project basis, my naggy emails that go out every month, just reminding people, don't be an idiot and use common sense. I just feel like there's really no need for that. We put out a list of requirements for people at home for their work environment, like don't have your back up against a window so somebody can't walk by and be like, wait, what are you looking at? Make sure you have window coverings on. Make sure you're kind of looking out over your family. We had family members sign NDAs.
Wait, I didn't know about that. That's interesting.
Yep.
What about if you're under 7 years old?
Yeah, kids, what are you going to do? So that's the other thing, making sure people lock their machine when they disappear, because your kid might come by and be like, taking a picture with their iPad or something like that. So there's just certain things that, there's a responsibility on them. But with that, you get the freedom of working at home, which I think is huge for people. Yeah, especially right now.
Unbelievable for so many people.
Yeah, I have 2 kids at home that one is in kindergarten, one's in 3rd grade. So between work, I'm Zooming and spending the time. It's like, it's until we can get them back into school and I can focus 100% at home. But I think working from home is great. But I do miss seeing everybody. There's the collaboration, but I think having a space post-COVID, post-vaccine, that sort of thing, for people to come together once or twice a week to hash out issues, whether it be killer issues or whatever it might be, in person is a great thing. But I don't think I need to spend 45 minutes on the 405 going to work anymore.
I think there might be a few 100,000 other people that agree with you on that one. Hey, Christopher, though, is there a risk between hyper managing security, although it doesn't sound like you need to hyper manage it so much, and then also getting work done? I mean, pretty much it seems like you've enveloped security issues and just let them work, let it rip.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down a little bit to, treating the artists like adults. They, like everyone was saying, they kind of know what they need to do and how to keep their stuff secure. We put as many borders on the bowling lane as we can to make sure that they don't do anything dumb or anything that may be, a mistake. So when they're remoting in from home, they get a single lane to their computer to do what they need to do. Their computer at home kind of becomes this dumb terminal / console. We control the environment that they come into, and all is well.
So if they need one more little thing, they can order it from you and do the drive-by pickup thing?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We actually just formalized the process for people who, need a monitor. We had a couple people so far that need, higher grade monitors because, of course, Best Buy and all those places are completely devoid of any, decent computer equipment these days. So, we, like Saker was saying, we slap a bunch of barcodes on some stuff. We have them all lined up. And if they want to pick something up, they put in a service request. We get them lined up. We do a touchless handoff for the computer equipment they need. We assign it in our ticketing system, and away they go.
I mean, at the end of the day, this equipment is not even a week of work from any artist.
Yeah.
Aldo, when you put it in perspective, to a producer, you're breaking my heart.
When you put it in perspective, I mean, the hardware is really the smallest ticket.
Yes.
All of it. You gotta have great artists.
So now, do you have to decide which IP addresses are legit for them to be working with, or do they?
No, Teradici is VPN. It just
Teradici does all of that.
Yeah.
Hands down, no problem.
Well, yeah, we're actually using Z-Central, but the VPN is pretty dialed in. They have the VPN clients that they put on their machines. Most of it is pre-configured. They have to type in a few things, of course, username and password. But once they're in, they have the name of the machine they need to remote into, and they remote in, and everything works as it should. I think our biggest thing so far is, every once in a while we'll have a machine fall over, and because their computers are still on-prem, we have to hit the button. So until we come up with a clever way of doing that completely remotely,
I got a clever way for you, Christopher. I'll tell you how to do it.
Awesome.
Oh, not here. Oh.
It's really simple. We installed a ring system for our alarm system at the office.
Okay.
You can just they sell these little devices that you can remotely turn on and off an hour.
So, you have a clapper on your computer.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. You have a clapper.
Yeah. I can toggle the machine to turn on and off. Because we do have, most of our equipment's in our data center and it's all lights out. But we do have some real gaming workstations and stuff like that we're physically at the office, and I don't want to go in there to just reboot the box.
Right.
So
I shut down instead of restart, right? That's the message.
We actually removed the shutdown button from computers, so they can only restart.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's also interesting.
I do have a question for you guys. Have you hit, because that's happened to us in Atlanta, the 7 o'clock latency? Like for some reason, Spectrum or wherever you have, 6:30, boom. And all of a sudden,
it's everybody on Disney Plus. It's everybody coming home, and well, I shouldn't say coming home. They're at home, but they're not just doing their school stuff. They're using more devices and things like that, right? So,
I had the feeling that it was a matter of streaming, because the way of streaming, the buffering, they're like, oh, I'm gonna give you a big burst of data here, And so it kind of disrupts what we are trying to do to have the nice little steady stream. I switched to, like Comcast Business, and I have had no problem.
Really?
And, yeah, at the end, it's the same.
The cable companies were not prepared for any of this.
No.
I really hope, I won't get into net neutrality and all that fun stuff, but I really hope that this changes the way internet is treated in the US, and that it really is kind of like, it's a universal lifeline. Like it's a mandatory thing, and
should be utility.
It's a utility.
I love talking with you guys. In fact, if they're listening to this whole conversation, they very well might be, they should know that we are making the visual, you are making the visuals that are entertaining the world. And really, you don't want to mess with us. You don't want our at-home situation to be. But do you guys also hit this weird thing that happens with the electricity itself in the home front, where for me, at 9 o'clock, I feel like it switches over to some stored solar panel thing, and it's actually going wah, wah, wah. I'm like, oh, I can't work like this. No? No one's having that problem but me?
You should probably call an electrician.
I was going to say.
Yeah. Okay,
sounds good. How old is your house?
Yeah.
It's 100 years old.
Well, then maybe it's time. For an electrician.
Oh yeah.
Something asked about internet speed and stuff like that, and I was just going to say, most of the artists that we have about at a minimum of like 100 megabit. Teradici is really good at bandwidth. You could probably get away with less than that, to be honest. Most of these technologies, it's not really about the bandwidth; it's about the latency. I would say that's the biggest thing. It's the distance from you to the machine that you're connecting to. I would say up to 30 milliseconds, you can't tell the difference. Like the human can't really tell the difference. But after that, especially if you're using like a tablet and you're painting in Photoshop or doing textures and stuff like that, is when you can start to see kind of a lag kind of happen.
Yeah. How many different applications you got open?
But over time, people get used to it, to be honest. Like your brain begins to compensate for it.
But not during reviews.
Well, no, during reviews, I mean, that doesn't really matter as much, right? It's when you're doing something like really interactive, like I'm painting this area here, right? And so my mouse is moving. It's like if I look at myself in the video right now, there's a 4-second delay from when my hand moves.
Well, it's Zoom.
Yeah. But imagine painting, right? And you're like, I'm trying to draw something here, but it's delayed, right? It can be really frustrating.
The herd of
tablets are the only thing that really doesn't work as well as when
really?
it just does that thing that you're moving and you get the delay, and it's like, okay, this is gonna take a while for me to do stuff. It's kind of like that.
Yeah,
you'll be down to 800 shots this week.
But look for reviews. At the end of the day, you load everything in RV. Teradici is fantastic with that.
Right.
You just zoom in the area. You do your 4K reviews, and you get it done.
The key thing too is make sure you aren't using Wi-Fi. You want to be plugged directly into your router at home. Wireless adds more latency to everything. So we put together kind of like a cheat sheet for people to get ready and set up for it. And new people that we're hiring right now, putting together kit. We have like essentially boxes. We have like 20 boxes ready to go, little lunch boxes essentially that FedEx slips ready to just kind of like send out to people. So
that is sweet.
I didn't know that it was going to work out to hire people remotely. The other thing that happened to us, I was doing the show in New York, right? I'm in Atlanta, and I have had bad experiences. Supervising shows without the physical contact, going behind somebody, looking what they were doing. And what we found is that everybody being home and being on Zoom or, on GChat or whatever you want, it kind of fixed that. All of a sudden, because it was a common issue for everybody that we had to get on video, I think I've talked to, hundreds of artists, except two. Two people didn't want to show themselves. And I'm always suspicious of the person who doesn't want to show themselves in the video. I
Oh,
don't
the
know
camera.
why. It's a human instinct. You want to see somebody, you know, you want to share love.
Well, it is a privacy issue also. I mean, and you do need to think about your women out there who are, you know, I don't have my makeup on. No, sorry, I said that.
I know, I need to see that you are at work. Really, that's really what I need to see. I need to make sure that when you're talking.
That I am actually, no, look, I'm working, really, I'm working. Hey, but you know, do you have like two kinds of people working that are like, I know I'm talking to a pile of nerds right now, and we like sitting in really dark rooms staring at monitors for a long time, years at a time. So we don't even know the word confinement. We're just pretty comfortable because there's a monitor in front of us. Mm-hmm. But are there people out there that are not so cool with the walls being dark all the way around them, and they're feeling confined, and it is adding to their stress?
New York people, mostly people that with no kids, people that have had, are the people that have had the toughest time in my experience.
Who knew it would be New York?
It's actually pretty interesting, Aldo, because we, with our facility in New York, we were seeing the opposite. We were finding that our people with no kids in New York are actually excelling in this environment, and people with kids are screaming to come back into the office.
You know,
I wonder what.
Well, who you are, right? If you're an introvert, like, this is great. Like, you're like awesome. But if you're an extrovert right now and you're not, you know, the people that like to mingle in the kitchen or swing by somebody's desk, they're like craving for attention right now, right? Or so we kind of, in our teams, we have like social channels that are just on, like, basically an ongoing session that you can just join anytime and kind of just talk to people and hang out. And you can't talk about anything work; it's for anything but work. And some people just want to be connected to it while they're working, just to have that like sound of somebody breathing or, you know, making some like noise in the background or something like that to make it feel like I'm in a cubicle next to somebody, right? You know,
it's the goal.
Oh, I don't miss the music, man. People with their music up and like, it's not my music. It's not the music I like. Why do we have all to listen to it?
People do DJ sessions inside of there, and they get to play their music lists. They're
nice.
All right.
Which is kind of cool. So you get exposed to all sorts of new music and things that I've never had time really. That's one thing too. Like being in IT, like, and I'm sure Christopher can relate. Like, we're just so like heads down, like in the tech, trying to deal with it. This has really allowed me to get to know a lot of the artists and people that I typically, when we were smaller, I used to know everybody's name. And then like we got, you know, 100 people and it's like, I can't keep up with who's starting when and who these people are and all that stuff. So it's given me a chance to really easily just reach out, or somebody can get in contact with me at any time, you know, that sort of thing. So that's kind of been nice versus being like the asshole, you know, IT.
Right.
I mean,
it's funny. That's interesting, Sacred, because, you know, there's a lot of people in my life and I can't remember all their names. So I, you know, give them names just in my mind so I can remember them all. But now that there's Zoom, you can get right in the person's face, and I feel like I can way more easily remember who these people are. I think I do kind of miss, though, the running into them at lunch and the picnics, the required picnics. But, you know, there was that, bad sandwich that you shared with people. There's all those weird things that happen that were part of, the culture and the whole why you wanted to get up every morning and go to work. But I agree with you guys.
I have a 10-second commute. I can get up and do my 10 seconds commute.
I think the biggest switch for me, at least, a lot of, my day has been planned because, there's people to talk to, stuff to set up, and, things to field. When we first switched to work from home, it was really awesome because so much of my day and conversations were very, fluid. People would walk into my office and say, "Hey, I need a thing," and it'd be like, "Awesome, we can solve this in 2 seconds." Now it's very planned. I looked at my wellness being the other day, and it said 65% of my week was scheduled meetings, and I'm like, man, this is awesome. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, what else am I doing throughout the day? And really being able to like be in the trenches when we're all super busy and feeling the buzz of the office is something that I miss a little bit. In the beginning, it was really nice because, like you said, head down, we can just plow through a bunch of stuff. We finished tons of projects, which is super awesome. But now, we're getting to the end of those projects, and it's like, well, now is the time when, people would hang out a little bit after, and there was a little bit of a buzz, like everyone's kind of high off of, finishing that huge deal. And now it's not. Now it's like, well, let's all hop on a Zoom and talk about it. And it's like, well, yeah, we do that every single day. How about something else? And I think now people are starting to say, like, all right, cool, let's start augmenting all of this cool stuff that we've been doing over the summer with something a little more personal.
Well, now on personal, let me just go back on you 1 second here. Are you saying, Chris, that you have some AI app that's going, Chris, man, your wellness app, you're just not doing very well.
Yeah, her name is Cortana.
Is this what it's coming to? It's like, there used to be, oh, move your hands. It's every 15 minutes, move your hands. But now it's like, oh, man, you need some cultural changes in your life.
Yeah.
Does she talk to you?
Via email, yeah. Every week, I get a wellness report.
Yeah, so it's from Microsoft. It's called like Microsoft Insights, and you're using Office 365. It's reading your emails. It knows how many you've replied to. It's monitoring your.
Come on, that's got to be annoying.
It's actually pretty cool. It tells me like, how much time I'm spending chatting with people, and it's kind of giving me a gauge like, am I over communicating or am I under communicating? That sort of thing. It's kind of interesting. It's pretty new too, so I'm sure they're going to be adding all sorts of other.
But don't you think a human can detect that without that app? I mean, don't you have a sense of you're doing too much of this or too little of that?
I think like I have access to everybody's, right? So I could give that to like our HR department, who can monitor people to be like, hey, this person's like working way more than what they're reporting on their time card or something to that effect, right? That could mean a number of things, like.
Well, that can affect the insurance and everything else.
Is there something going on at home? Are they just bored? Like what could it be? Or are they not like up to par and they have to like work extra hours? That sort of thing. So, and like you just said, covering your butt from a legal perspective, from time per work, how many hours you're active and not active. It's kind of a good thing too.
Right. I mean, but do most of the employees say, I did my 8 hours or I did my 10 hours today, so I'm going to have to do the rest tomorrow? Or I'm hearing from some people that are going, no, we're crunch time, man. It's 24 hours. Let's go.
No, I mean, we're, at least from Zoic's perspective, we're pretty like on top of it. People fill in their time cards in 15-minute increments based on like the shot that they're working on. They have to select like all that stuff. So our producers are pretty good at staying on top of people if they're working overtime or not. Everything has to be approved. If you're working OT.
If you're working a lot of OT, it's because a show is mismanaged.
Yeah, or it's a client problem where
it's still a mismanagement.
Yeah,
it's a mismanagement from the client. It's not from you. But if you're working overtime, if somebody's making a mistake,
right?
Or not making decisions, since I moved to Crafty Apes, I can count like 4 weekends I worked in a couple of years, and it's all because it's a different approach.
What the hell am I listening to here?
This place. I'm telling you, this place is different. It's just a different approach. Quality is great. Clients are happy. All the clients love to work with Crafty Apes, and it wasn't the same feedback I was getting when working somewhere else. But it's all about that at a certain point. It's the long run. You want to be in business.
Here comes the plug. Should we run the reel right now?
That thing is horrible. We just throw it together because I didn't want to be the only one without.
Listen, you guys are all stellar. I'm kidding you. Hey, Chris, I want to get you back in here. Are there positions or departments rather that are more allowed to come into work, or is there just nobody coming into work, or like is there 1 or 2 people that come in 2 days here and there, or full week? Is there anyone that's a full week kind of position?
That's a good question. So there are a few people. And it's, for some of the things that still need to be done physically, like, drive deliveries and whatnot. We, in the beginning or the early stages of the pandemic, when we all thought it was going to be a month, there were a few people that would come in every once in a while to kind of strategize exactly how we would bring people back in and where we would move stuff and how we would separate people and whatnot. That's tapered off quite a bit. And right now it's kind of relegated to, maybe 1 or 2 people in our IO department, 1 or 2 people in IT and facilities every once in a while. And
so that's like
a 2-year plan, right?
That's that's the under dozen. How many people do you have over there?
Currently in the neighborhood of 152.
150, and you got like a dozen people total coming in.
Less, but yeah, it's a skeleton crew.
That's what we call skeleton people. Yeah, the world has absolutely changed. I mean, what was normal before COVID is just not relevant right now. I think.
No.
But I can tell you something, from.
Tell me something, Aldo.
Yeah, let me tell me something good now. I can speak even in Italian Mario accent if you like. If that entertains you, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Hey, look, I'm a VFX soup, and like everybody in VFX, we don't see our kids. I got a bunch, and this has been an opportunity that will be something that will not be repeatable for generation of males working in the VFX industry. We are expected to work the 12-hour days on set, plus the 2 hours of commute. We're talking about 14 hours. We do not know our spouses. We do not know our kids. And we end up not knowing anybody else but the people you work with. You end up being married to the company and to the people you work with. Now, what happened here is that all of a sudden I discovered I have a pretty cool spouse. And I had discovered I have some 4 little pretty cool kids that seem pretty smart. And, that is the biggest change that I've seen. Like, everybody's talking about relationship getting stronger, relationship getting weaker. And if the price has to be paid by the company, where the relation with the company is weaker, so be it for human beings. The game industry has suffered from serial, divorces. I got into the project Last Resort, and I was, learning my fluid simulation. So I would stay at work until 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Right now, if I am later than midnight, my wife comes downstairs, kicks my butt, and says, "Come back to sleep right now, you young man." So, it's different. It's wonderful. I don't have to risk to be hit by a car driving at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning when I cannot keep my eyes open.
Right on.
There is so much that has changed in quality of life that cannot be undermined.
Okay, now listen to what you're saying right now, the quality of life. Oh, by the way, you have a family. Oh, by the way, they're cool. Who knew? Has there been any thoughts going through just the 3 of yours minds? I'm sure there is. But about if tomorrow you were allowed to go back to whatever you wanted to do, like let's go back to brick and mortar, or you could go this way, or you could go that way. What would it be? Like if it was up to you 3, knowing what you just said right there, Aldo, and knowing that there's only 12 people that need to come in over there.
What we do is addictive. It's really a high. You come up with a solution that nobody else has. And that's why we don't talk about these solutions here. And all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have an advantage. It's very competitive. It's fun. It's competitive. You make something cool every day. Even as a manager, the ability of making somebody that you didn't think was going to make the shot super cool, seeing that person grow and making a cool shot.
Yeah.
It's so satisfying in so many levels what we do, that it's hard to say, oh, I want to do something else. I'm not qualified to do anything else. At the end of the day.
Not to do something else from what you were doing right now. But sure. if your company was saying, okay, the brick and mortar is opened up, you're not required to come in because clearly you can work from wherever you are working.
Saker is saying that, Zoic is considering shrinking the real estate. People I talk to, VFX supervisor, are like, I don't really need to go to work every day. I can go a couple of times a week. I think I cannot disagree more with all of this, because this is not something that's going to change. You
Right.
know, people are going to be required to go back to work, because this works only because everybody's doing it.
Right. I was kind of thinking about this going back and forth, and I like both sides of the fence. I like staying home and being in the hustle and bustle of all the kids running around while you're trying to get stuff done. But I also appreciate being in the office and rubbing shoulders with my team to make sure things are getting done, and we're collaborating on ideas. And sometimes when they're sitting right outside of your office, it's much faster than Zoom or Teams calling. But
you get smarter too.
Yeah.
Like I had some
Osmo.
collaboration for a couple of guys at FuseFX. I had my friend Renault at Fuse, and he's one of the smartest people I know. And together we came up with some great solutions at the time.
Right,
It's something
right.
that you
So
can't repeat.
I think if they were to ever open up the doors and say, all right, everyone back into work, I look at what we've kind of gone through as an opportunity, especially for Fuse in LA. We've always had a space problem when expanding for large projects. How many people can we squish into the building? Now we no longer have that problem. Now we can scale virtually because we don't have to worry about putting butts in seats. Now we can augment our studio footprint virtually because we can do this remotely now.
So no, that's really very, very key, and that is if you figured out how to make all this work in a week, kind of is what I'm hearing, to go this way. If they wanted it to go that way, it's just the panic won't be there for you. It'll just be, we need a couple more tables. We probably should call Comcast.
Yeah. We've, again, I alluded that we've taken a lot of surveys, and basically every month we send the same survey out, pinging everybody in the company.
Really?
300 plus people. And the survey hasn't changed much. Most people want to still see people. They want to come in once or twice a week, but they love being at home. I think people, although you talked about it, like it's addictive being in the office. You are married to the company. I've been married to Zoic for 19 years. I'm 42 years old. That's like half my life almost, right? So there's a high about it. I'm a problem solver. I love it, and I'm addicted to it. So, but people, I think artists are a little bit different, so to speak. Some people like working alone, and it's interesting to see which ones want to work from home, people that you won't get distracted as much. There's some people that, probably take away from people getting stuff done even faster, because they're just being bothered all day long.
Right.
So again, overall, our survey, over 250 people that responded to the survey, majority of people would still like to come into the office. So they would like a place to come and sit down and work 2 to 3 times a week. But they also want that kind of optional based on the project. So being able to have that kind of, and again, this is under the auspice of there is a vaccine. That was the number one thing. People don't want to come back until there's a vaccine. The majority of people. There's some people for sure that are like, I don't care, I'm immune, whatever. Good luck to them. But I still think that it'll be interesting to see that the way spaces change and the type of spaces that you need, whether it be like people have invested so much money in like open floor plans. Well, maybe we aren't going to have such an open floor plan. Maybe it'll be carved up a little bit more.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's not just about COVID too, but it's also the seasonal flu, that sort of thing. I mean, forget COVID, just the seasonal flu knocking out people. That happens every year.
I haven't gotten sick at all. Have you guys?
I mean, we used to just go to work sick, and it was just like that was what you did. You just sucked it up.
I'm touching it. I'm already like one of those people washing my hands all the time because I'm touching, fixing stuff, and that sort of thing. So I don't know. It'll be interesting, and I don't think anybody will know really until like the gates are open and people can return back. Are people just going to fall back into their old routine and habits, or are people going to take advantage of the possibility of being able to work from home? And I could leave and go see my son play soccer and
wouldn't that be nice?
I can't make it because it's going to take me an hour and a half to get over the 405 in the valley to see the game. Like, I would love nothing more than to see that happen.
Right.
So
It comes me to that whole issue of the 405.
Yeah, people are taking stock and I think are going to reevaluate how they live their life.
I think there's going to be some ethics too about our planet. I mean, we were burning a crap load of fossil fuels sitting there on the 405 for that whole extra 45 minutes of just sitting there doing nothing.
And this is going to affect generations. I mean, my kids, there are 4 of them. They would have been in 4 different schools. And now they are all packed up together like an old-fashioned homeschooling home. They're getting to know each other. They are becoming really good friends. I'm starting to appreciate the differences between them, and I'm starting to get to know them.
Right. They'll probably be more likely to take care of each other growing older too.
Yeah, it's going to change for things that we are not foreseeing right now. Programmatically, right now, we're programming the world that our kids differently.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to change.
Yeah. And COVID is only the first one. There's going to be more. It's going to happen again, right? So I think companies are going to invest the time into putting in these procedures so they can flip the switch at any time and, protect.
I remember a certain few audits where they would always ask, what is your pandemic plan? And we had always joked and laughed like, you're kidding me, right? Pandemic plan? Sure. Here we are writing the pandemic plan as we're figuring out how to get everyone home. Right. So we don't laugh at it anymore, but yeah, I think you're right. This is the practice run. I think this is going to be, the rubric for anything that happens in the future. And now we know we can do it.
It happens every 100 years at least. You know, like we know that for a fact. We look back in history. You look back at Europe. It just happens.
Right.
You know, we right now we are like 9 billion people on Earth. In 1931 we were like 2 billion on Earth. There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know,
there's a lot of at-home time in there somewhere. Hey, I have a question. Just taking it into the I can't believe there are so many guidelines issues. Is it cool? Do they have it down really to be telling you guys, or should it be going the opposite way of the state and local guidelines? I get that they monitor, the surges and where we are, and this is when you should bring it down to this level and bring it up to that level. But are there more guidelines in there that are just not cool, not helping out at all? Or are they all pretty much exactly what
shuttered right now? There is nothing in play. Nobody cares. Just get the work done. Be honest. Don't have anything leak out. Don't have your monitors looking at the window. And that is what it is for artists. For on-set supervision, it's different. On set, you're talking money. If you mess up, you mess up an entire production. If one person messes up and delays something a week, think about the consequences. All the people on set, then editorial needs to be delayed a week. All the people that are related to that are delayed a week and being put on, still being paid for it. So you don't mess with that. So the consequences of one person messing up are huge.
And when you say messing up, it's not just so much the technical part of it. It could be going out there without the mask and actually
without the mask.
Responsible, right? Like if you're part of a crew on set, it's not like you're going to go out to a bar and go have beers with your buddies and then get infected and come back, right? Which won't go up for a few days, which is what's supposedly happened, on a couple projects, right? People are going out and again, like I said, not everybody agrees with wearing masks. Some people are like, I'm fine, I don't need to, right? They put it on for work, but then, outside of work hours, they're just like, whatever. So
the loose cannon, as it were.
Oh no, the super spreader. That's how Typhoon Mary. That is what it is. And we all have to be careful. We all have to understand that. Yeah, you maybe not getting sick and die, but you're gonna get sick, and the mental consequences. Look, we are talking to a bunch of nerds. We are nerds. I've done some programming. I'm not to the levels of Saker, and I'm not to the level or Chris, but I care about my mind. The consequences of this virus on your mind can be really long-lasting. I'm not interested in that. I use my mind more than I use anything else.
Yeah. I mean, your body can quit working, but as long as that mind's still working, and you got a finger to handle the mouse.
Just a couple of things. I just push one button at a time. Approve notes. Approve notes.
What a job! Approve or don't approve. So basically, the local guidelines and all of that is just don't get sick, don't be stupid, don't get sick is what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying. It's government, right? So nobody knows anything. People are drafting up stuff all over, and nothing is set in stone yet, right? So we're trying to pull, and again, dealing with the global company, you're dealing with different requirements in different countries and
Oh, right.
And stuff like that. We're going to kind of do like what we do with security, which is just take the highest level and apply it to everybody, because we don't want to manage it differently. We're just going to do the highest.
That's interesting.
Yep. Yeah.
So like, is Canada more lax than the U.S.?
No, actually.
No, actually not. When we were going through this, I think our Canadian team had everything dialed in for how to return to the office like weeks before we did in LA. We're like, awesome. Here's the rubric. This is what we're doing, guys. We'll change a few things here and there for when people come in, but overall, yeah, I think Canada had it dialed in real quick.
Canada, I'll totally off topic, but they take HR way more seriously, I gotta say, than in the United States. Like, they are by the book. I mean, because you get audited for all sorts of stuff in Canada, and they have like designated people in the office that over a certain amount. There's got to be designated like
toilets,
emergency responder that needs to get CPR certified and knows how to use
they have to. What is that room? We're building a facility now. We have to have like a bed.
Room that you can lay down in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Feel sick, like, it's a sick room.
I mean, you guys are Zoom voyeurs. I mean, you've looked at all these other companies. There's these one-way hallways and people walking around with the 6-foot sticks, and the coffee cup guy can only be one coffee cup guy in there at a time. And it's just like, I don't even know how you would handle everyone coming back to work. I just don't see that actually working unless you actually build, let's just bulldoze these and start over and make the rooms that we need going forward. Because you're saying we're going to keep doing this.
We already
surge it come down and surge it come down.
Yeah, in Vancouver, we removed like half of our desks already. We already have like UV lights. We got a robot that comes in and sprays some like crazy misting thing all over everything and disinfect.
Oh man, we need pictures of that, Baker.
It's crazy because they're going to go to work first, definitely, for sure. They're going to be the
robots.
At Vancouver.
Yes, the robots.
Robots that spray things.
Robots for sure. Yeah.
They have their jobs secured. Great, that's great to know, guys. So then, we're not going to revamp building structures themselves, except for a couple more extra. We can't do cubicles, the open air stuff. It's got to be actual separate little rooms. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
it's one of those things where we've kind of kicked around our facility here in Los Angeles is the largest of our 4 facilities, and we've always built our spaces to be collaborative and lots of congregation. Our kitchen, I mean, for the longest time we didn't even want to touch it in our plan because there's no way to handle it. It's compact, it's small, it's made to rub shoulders, and we're like, you know what, phase 1 and 2, the kitchen is closed. There's just no way around it. So I mean, for desks, luckily we had an open area, but we've got these, built-in dividers that are kind of part of the architecture, which I think is a little bit of our saving grace if we were to have more people come in. But we've looked into, spacing out the desks, putting up little dividers that attach to the desk to keep everyone a little bit more separate, removing some of our common areas and replacing them with desks to spread people out. Other than that, there's really nothing else you can do unless, like you said, you bulldoze and reimagine the space and section off everyone in a cubicle. And if you're going to do that, then why not just be at home?
Yeah, it's a lot easier. I have an upgraded office here. I mean, let me tell you, like I am alone. I am in the basement. I can lock myself in. Nobody comes and bothers me,
Someone should say the showers are upstairs, though, Dad.
The showers are upstairs. I mean,
yeah, that works. But let's just say I, Joan Collins, would like to go back to work as a producer. I drink coffee. I have to stay awake. should I have my coffee machine next to my desk? Is that what we're talking about? Or is that going to even be allowed? No liquid stuff brewing in your here because it's the vapors and the steam and all that? Tell me coffee's allowed. You got to tell me coffee's allowed.
I mean, do you really want to go to the office when you can stay home?
And
you know,
drink
like
coffee.
that.
Exactly.
Like it's so complicated right now to try to go to work and to keep people separate and to keep all the fights out. Because, okay, I have my best friend is my roommate. He might not believe in masks. Okay, that's a fight waiting to happen.
Right.
Okay, you don't even touch it right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
when we were going through and writing our phases for returning to the office, we said, based on this instruction set, people are going to look at it and just want to stay home. And I mean, when you're writing this stuff, that's kind of the plan, right? You want to give people the option, but at the same time, all the things and all the rules that they're going to have to abide by, not only to keep themselves safe, but to keep other people around them happy that may not feel as safe. Do you really want to deal with all of that stuff? I mean, we've limited.
Would be enough? Would it be enough? Like you can do all that stuff, and then it's not enough.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I was supposed to go to North Carolina or South Carolina, and they asked me to stay 2 days into a hotel quarantining, and then after the 2 days go get a test. If I pass the test, then I'm allowed on set for 3 days. After the 3 days, I mean, those are the level of security, and you're not safe. When you do that, are you gonna ask people not to go out because you have to deliver a movie? Seriously.
Yeah.
Okay? No, that's not going to happen. You're going to take care of your own safety. You're going to be an adult. And we can work from home for the time being until a solution or some kind of compromise. I mean, viruses enter your system, don't go out.
Right.
Just do not get replicated.
I mean, we still got to shoot, Aldo. We still got to shoot. Let's say we want to shoot New York in normal times. We want to shoot New York. Well, haven't we LiDAR'd the shit out of New York already? And can't we just green screen those guys anyway? They're used to
Zoic started this wonderful thing of parallel tracking, putting trackers on the ceiling and doing virtual production. They are the people that really got the ball rolling and always looked at their technology. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And now everybody's on board to try to do that. I mean, if you're not trying to do that, you're a fool, because that's what's going to keep a lot of people safe, or at least that's the idea.
I'm standing behind a 60-foot LED wall right now, so I'm at our stage here. Getting back to work after this, because we're preparing for a lot of shows that need all this LED stage work, so which is pretty wild.
You poor dear. Yeah, I think we all need LED stage walls in our homes. Please.
Oh, I priced it out. It's, for my room, it would be about $20,000 for some.
But if you do enough Zoom calls and say how much you like their technology, they'll just throw it in, as long as you keep. We'll get the sponsor deals for you guys.
I'd be okay with a 3-month POC of that LED wall.
Someone out there, take care of Christopher. He needs that help. So just let's talk about also a little bit more about going out on set. And I just want to hit the guilds one more time. Do we really have guild people coming out on set and saying, hey, you're not doing this part over here? Or do they just kind of all expect you to deal with it? Because if you guys get sick, your production's over anyway. I mean, how strict is this going on?
It's very strict once, there are cases. Usually, you agree doing this, and it's like calling that a mask. It's not a mask, or using a shirt, and then people become wise and say, "Oh, we cannot waste another week waiting," and so production takes it upon themselves to provide the tests, to keep you in a group that I was telling you about, giving you N95 masks. And doing that by the book. If you do not have a mask, you cannot work. You cannot endanger other people.
Sacred cough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty dry here in LA. I got to tell you, man.
It is. Well, it's the whole Santa Ana. We got Santa Anas. It's terrible. Hey, but when you're shooting the actors and dealing with the actors, Do we have to now do a little bit of previs for the guilds or for anybody else to show how we're going to
No, but we have big stuff like split screens. Now, I remember putting together a reel for split screens. Oh, can we put an actor here right now and then cut it and then go to the other one and then put them together? There have been lots of creative solution to things and question, but at the end of the day, people are trying to be really responsible and try to do the right thing, that it's protect themselves, the others, and their livelihood.
Right. And it really comes down from you guys. Like if the three of you say we're doing it this way, go back to Actor Studio and learn how to do a split screen where you're talking to your monitor and more emote. Or I think it's gonna, you're just gonna have to learn to react from a different place.
There's so many moving parts, and there's so many guilds involved and unions and lawyers. I mean, it's really a mess. My wife, again, like I said, my wife is VP of Post over at CBS, and she wants to tear her hair out every day because she's rescheduling these shows that just keep getting pushed because somebody got COVID and now it's got to be rescheduled, or a show's being delayed because some actor doesn't want to travel or can't get to wherever it is to make something happen. Like, we're getting a lot of requests for like face replacements. They're like, well, we're just going to get like some random actor and then
deep fake. We're just
going to do a deep fake later on,
Well, you do have to pay for it. You still have to pay for the good actor and the other actor, but at least it gets done, right?
Yeah.
We had an instance, for example, that they had shut down production for a movie I'm working on right now, and there were the riots in New York. This place is in New York, and the studio said, no, you cannot go shoot anything, even if it is just for plates. We were not allowed, because we do that all the time. You just like, oh, I need somebody walking outside. You go outside, put a green screen, and get your guy walking around. But in this case, to get some parts of New York, and we were actually denied to do that. We're like, we cannot allow you to go shoot anything for backgrounds for our show. We're like, okay. Then mud paintings has become very popular.
Oh yeah. Send the drone in. Send in the drone.
Oh, this is the time to be a mud painter.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. I mean, there's a few back in the day folks who would love to hear you say that. There's some brilliant creatives out there. They must also love this quarantining stuff. Question, Saker. I would have to say that gaming pipelines in this very moment might be easier than actually trying to go out and shoot a feature film, split screen and all or whatever. Wouldn't you say that if the characters are all digitally created, I mean, you still have some mocap actors that are emoting to themselves on a green screen stage, but it seems like once you've got that, then can you say then that a bulk of the 80% more of the work is just a whole bunch of people scattered everywhere working on it?
Yeah, I feel like that's where, obviously our industry is headed, this kind of merge between game engines and, renderers like V-Ray or RenderMan or, what have you, non-real-time effects, right? And in an odd way, COVID has completely pushed that. Has pushed that agenda even more. I feel like there's just a huge acceleration happening on how do we get to that now? How do we create that alternate reality today?
Epic is giving $10,000 a person that participate into a fellowship.
Yeah, we were awarded an Unreal Epic grant for Zoic that we applied to, which is pretty cool. And I can't talk about it, but they'll release it soon.
Right.
Pretty cool that we're working on. But how do we take some stuff that we've done before and replicate that in a game engine? And it's a kind of a test to see can we just completely move to a game engine for rendering? That's a whole nother topic that we could talk about.
Well, it's also what the content itself looks like. I mean, I'm a high-res snob, and I like my stuff on big screens and at high res, and not one pixel out of place. gaming, your characters are pretty darn cool, but the compositing is just kind of thrown out with the garbage.
You don't do the compositing.
Like DD's doing digital dub, right? And you look at the quality level of what's happening in Unreal with his face, with Doug's face, and
the face is outstanding. It's what's behind it.
Getting better and better and better, right? So you can check them out.
Well, I know, but I think though, just like everything else has changed, I think there is just that it's going towards a look that we're just accepting more and more, as opposed to going to see
I mean, there are tricks to it, right? At the end of the day, you still need the actor. You need a camera with a sensor that is big enough so everything else is out of focus. When it's an out of focus pixel, is an out of focus pixel.
Aldo.
It
will not fix everything.
Do you really think that I've done thousands of shots, not cheating a little bit and putting things out of focus and stuff? Come on.
Aldo, we're recording. Careful now. Careful.
It's all a cheat. Joan, it's all a cheat. Let me tell you.
The films that'll be coming out, like everything is going to be very VFX heavy, which is great for our industry. I think there's going to be just a huge amount of work for everybody. But it's going to be the smaller independent films that you're going to not see as much.
So. I think it's going to change over, and I think the gaming is going to become a way to cinematically tell longer stories every single time, because the money is pouring at the way that you can actually work, which is make Dougie and all of his friends have fun on Friends or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Is like it's going to be a different look and feel for these independent films. Like, the films that are more story versus like Transformer type of film. I always go to that term. Just heavy visual effects, shit blowing up everywhere. It's all those other awesome movies that I like to watch, not the crap that we work on.
Even for that stuff, I think that I've seen, in the virtual production group in Facebook, and people have seen that. You see people in their living room setting up a projector and doing some great stuff. I set up my green screen because I don't have enough money for a projector, but or for an LED screen. But at the end of the day, you can do the $5 version of that. Right. And people with creativity, they can tell amazing stories. All of
my kids will love that stuff. I'm just like more old school film. But yeah, I mean, it's the TikTok generation, right? They're gonna just be loving that.
What does the world come to?
I am having so much fun. I put some masks on my kids. I fired up the game engine. I was going handheld with a crappy HBX 200, crappy keys. Who cares? It's the fun. If we can find the fun and the stories, then then it's okay. I mean, we take ourselves a little too seriously sometimes in the VFX industry. Like treating things like it's a life and death.
Right.
No, at the end of the day, it isn't. We shoot people, and we do blood.
Well, that's old gaming. That's old gaming. Now we're going into. Do you think we're gonna go the 90-minute storytelling, not just the interactive? Here's your interactive cinema, whatever is going on with the shooting in between. But I think we're going into, you could tell a much longer story, or these episodics that go on and on and on and on and on.
Netflix does that. Their episodics are
but in Unreal.
It's how you do it. That is a tool. Like everything else, it's a tool. And, like the famously, The Mandalorian, they wanted to shoot 50%. And, I mean, the challenges are huge. I mean, you put the camera sideways to the screen, all of a sudden the focus doesn't match and you have to redo it. Your colors don't match perfectly because one of the LEDs is acting up. It's just a tool, and like every tool, you can use it however you like it. It's not that you're going to do it in Unreal. It just makes more expensive things more economic. You don't have to rent story into a skyscraper. You can just project it, all of a sudden, and you get the parallax from that if you do.
But your tool belt has expanded, so you got more tools now. You got all the tools in the world right now sitting right there at your desk, probably. but it is also how to actually get the movie done in these times we're living in. If you can get the movie done with 80% people at home doing this real-time stuff, that's the way the movie's going to get done.
Right.
Wow.
Well, real time, you know, the funny thing now, with real time, you actually need more people from visual effects
To make it look good, right?
Which is not something that
but
not
you
everybody
can get it done as opposed to
No.
can't get it done.
No, not everybody is thrilled. Okay, you now have to have the person that Saker was mentioning that likes to be alone in a room by himself, doing the artist stuff, you know, putting a mountain here, a mountain there. All of a sudden, we're putting these people on set with people that are extrovert, you know, and all of a sudden they have to perform. I used to be a musician. I sucked as a musician, let me tell you. Because it's the performance, you know, you have to perform, and all of a sudden you are set in a situation. I became a sound engineer for a while, and that's a different type of performance. You have to push the button at the right moment, but it's still a performance. It's a live performance. And for a lot of people, it's too much to handle. You know, so that's what's going to happen. And managing the assets when you go on set and the multi-use, you're going to have 3 or 4 people trying to figure out what the director wants and baking the lights and doing all the other things. It's going to be an interesting thing. Like everything else, it's a tool.
Right.
They make it
Yeah,
look
but
very
I
cool.
like that. I like hearing that 1,300 shots a week kind of a thing.
No,
but
no,
wait. If there's quality versus quantity, and if you can crank it out one way using your tool, and the quality is like, don't show it to Joan, but the quantity goes up, and it still tells the story. It just has a different look, but you're getting the story out there. Don't you think there's a conversation or a new vocabulary that can be taught to some producers that don't even know that all of this can be done?
I mean, there's a reason why like animation right now is just booming.
Huge.
Like,
yeah, I was gonna say
animation's huge. Everybody's trying to get into animation right now.
Well, when you say animation, you're saying old school traditional animation.
No, I'm talking like they're using Unreal Engine for animation. Animation during COVID is blowing up. Like that's one thing that hasn't stopped. It's only increased, right? Netflix is pouring money into animation right now for that exact reason, because they can produce it without having to film anybody. People can do voiceovers from their homes.
Yes, they can. Wait, how does that really work out? Don't you have to actually send over a little bit of equipment in your little goodie box to make?
No. I got a ton of friends that do voiceovers from home. They have their own little phone booth at home, and I mean, everybody's a podcaster now, right? Everybody's got the crazy mics and got to do their own thing. So, yeah.
I mean, I heard stories about a cameraman being in Florida, regulating a camera down in Los Angeles. I mean, right now there are so many tools, and I just bought a couple of. I'm a geek and a nerd. I just bought a couple of encoders so I can make my own wheels that they use on set to just regulate my cameras, my virtual cameras, and I'll be doing movies. I got a lot of people here that I have to entertain.
Right. I mean, Matt Workman's a little podcasting of how he's handling the wheels and doing everything. It's pretty amazing. He's a rock star too. So let's just get into the kind of towards the end of this thing. The lessons learned and what we would do different in the future. Though the future's already here, and you're saying it's just going to be like this forever. We're going to surge and not surge and surge and not surge. So we'll waft in and out. But it sounds like you guys are absolutely prepared for whichever way it goes. So there was nothing that you would have done differently. And going forward, you already know that it's going to be different, but you're prepared.
We're all people that we try on a good challenge. You know, the 3 of us, you know, like you throw a challenge at us, challenge accepted. You know, so whatever it comes next, we'll deal with it, and we'll deal with it as well as we can.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would do different is there was a lot of hedging of bets on what we should purchase in terms of firewall equipment and how much bandwidth we should bump it up. Thinking, it was only going to last a couple weeks, a month, maybe 2 months. The only thing I would change is buying that stuff when we first thought about it instead of waiting.
Oh, right. I mean, because was there competition for that equipment when it got going?
Not necessarily. It's just there were a few things here and there where if we had the beefier equipment in place sooner, it would have been much smoother. And then of course, you know, with sending everyone home, we're, you know, primarily an on-prem facility where people are attached to their computers right at their desks.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were just starting to adopt, you know, Teams and the whole Office 365 ecosystem. So we were starting to deploy cameras here and then, really getting everyone used to not using their desk phones to communicate. When COVID hit, I mean, cameras went from $20 to like $70. So buying more of
No,
those.
really?
Oh yeah. I mean, they're still expensive.
Like home equipment that you needed, even desks and chairs. I mean, like everything was like crazy.
Keyboards, mice. I mean, I remember, I would say a month into it, right before COVID, I just bought like 20 or 30 Microsoft little, you know, $23 cameras. And I was like, hey, BC, hey, New York, here, pass these out to your producers so they can start talking. And then COVID hit, and I'm like, we're going to need some more of these cameras. And I went on Amazon, and I kid you not, it was like $75 a pop. And I'm like, man, I should have bought more.
You know, there's a couple things, because it's like global supply chain, right? Because China got locked down, nothing was being manufactured.
Oh, right.
You couldn't ship anything because borders were closing. Like it was kind of like that stock, like having something in stock in each location. Like you prepare for food and water, but like you also need like computer equipment.
I remember ordering, I think it was 2 weeks before COVID hit, I had ordered 2 HP laptops just because we were already working on mobilizing our accounting and HR departments. And as soon as COVID, you know, really hit stateside, they were like, yeah, that laptop that you ordered, that 2-week lead time, let's try 2 months. And I was like, oh man, well, calling everyone that I knew that had like, you know, used equipment, saying, hey, what do you got? And he's like, man, I got this laptop sitting here. It's the last one. The power supply is a little janky, but if you want, you better hurry up and get over here before it's gone.
No, everybody was on the same boat at the end of the day. And there was a huge understanding from every side, from the people that had to go home, and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to get on the subway anymore. Not even if you force me, I'm going to quit before I get on the subway again. And the clients are like, oh, don't worry, you know, just take it easy. Let's get this done. We'll figure it out. Right. So there was a great understanding from every single party. Everybody wanted this to work, really, and that's what made it work.
Mm-hmm.
And it is still working.
Yeah. It was really great to like talk to other friends at other companies and help, you know, everybody helping each other out. It was kind of like, you know, it was really awesome. Kind of brought our community together as well. Mm-hmm. Trying to find solutions. What's working for you? You know, what Teradici issues are you having?
Mm-hmm. Can you buy Teradici licenses?
Those are questions that I have no answers for, because I haven't had to gear up a whole facility yet on my own to do that. So is there something called Teradici issues?
Well, in the beginning, we were, like I said, primarily, you know, on-prem facility where people were directly attached to the computers under their desks. I think, Saker, you guys are using Zero or host cards in your machines?
Yeah, we have a combination. So we have physical host cards that go on your box in a Zero client, and then we have the new software-only version, which doesn't require any of that stuff. And they both have the pros and cons.
Yeah, so in the beginning, we were doing some, you know, workstations in the cloud with the, Cloud Access software with Teradici. And we know like it had worked because we were running, you know, workloads in AWS in Oregon. And we'd used HPZ Central for a few things here and there. So when it hit, we're like, all right, we're going to do a bake-off. Let's get some Cloud Access software licenses and some Z Central licenses and see which one works. Cloud Access software actually worked pretty well, and for a few things beat out Z Central. But when it came time to pull the trigger on 150 odd licenses, for the life of us, we could not get somebody to get back to us quickly enough to get these people. So we flipped over to Z Central. HP sold us a boatload of licenses real quick, and that was it.
Yeah.
Go to Central when it all else fails. Is that what it is? Well, I'm just real happy that you guys. I feel kind of sorry for Aldo, who's sitting over there on a different time zone.
Oh yeah, I prepared. I had enough coffee. No, there is just a bottle just going in my arm.
It's just go for the IV. Let's open up some of these Q&A questions and see if we can plow through a number of them. Any of the executive council people that want to chime in and say, oh please, pick her first. Yeah, but if you guys also open your IT guys, You can answer any one you want.
Tax incentives. I see. Yeah, no, tax incentives are still there. You know,
I think they're going away. I think they're going to go away. The money's just not going to
they're still there.
On that one, Joan. That's not going away.
Yeah, that's not going to go away.
These studios are making so much money off of tax credits, it's ridiculous. There's no.
Who does?
That the big studios are making so much money off of tax credits, it's not going away. My hope is that it being able to work anywhere kind of normalizes things, but you know, we aren't a union, so we have no pull.
Yep. Yeah, that's to stay.
Then there's, I know that kind of hit home. Ow, that hurt. We don't have limitations. Who says we have limitations? I actually think tax incentives are going to go away only because the people who were actually fronting the money for the tax incentive, which are kind of like Alberta Oil, you know, the fossil fuel guys are like, you know, helping bring industry in, and it worked. But they don't necessarily have to keep doing that, especially if they've already set up their guys. There's a healthy industry up there. Why do they have to keep doing it? Especially, you know, now that we all have to work at home, why travel crews up there anymore? So,
you know why? Because now that people are remote, like work can move on a dime. You know, when you think about the money and infrastructure that visual effects companies have spent, like building offices in Toronto or Montreal, like look at like Method and stuff like that, right? Or Deluxe and all those guys, like there was a commitment, but now, incentives go away. Okay, we're just going to redirect work to XYZ state, province, country, somewhere else, like that. Like it'll just go away, and then what happens to all those people that moved there? Like it's a big.
No, that's going to be our next challenge. But if someone told me, Joan, no more tax incentives, you can use the guys you want to, as opposed to needing to use the guys up over there because you need that 35% on just that artist use. I would rather use the guys who are faster, who are more knowledgeable, and I don't actually care now where they're sitting in the world. There is an issue that does come up, though. You still can't hire in certain countries without, you know, dealing with that actual use of the labor in that country. You still have to deal with that issue. But that's not a tax incentive issue. So if I had the choice of using really fast people that actually know what they're doing, or going up there and I don't mean up there like in any way to say like Canada up there, because north is kind of not necessarily up there. But I'm saying in general, going anywhere else. I would prefer to use the really, really fast guys that can get it done and make it look really, really damn good. And I think this is a huge opportunity to re-swing it around to, I don't care if you're sitting in your 5-bedroom house in Atlanta, Aldo, that's whatever you want to do, kid. As long as, you know, I can have my 1,300 shots by the end of the week. It's cool. I don't care where you are.
Right.
So I'm kind of more that way of just saying, this is the type of work. Where are these people? So I think the HR is going to need to change here real rapidly with not just when they get off of that show, but where are they now? And change.
My question for Saker, you know, is like, how do people know even where you are? How do you even control that anymore? Where is your data center? Oh, your data center is in New York, so you get the.
That's a good question. I mean, we get audited all the time by Canada, right? They want to see time cards. They want those time cards linked to real people. I mean, there's so much paperwork. Like I said, like our HR is buttoned down in Canada. You know, the States, it's loosey-goosey, you know, that sort of thing. I will say one exception in Canada. I would say Montreal is probably not as buttoned up. There's a lot more you can get away with there. But for sure, Toronto and Vancouver.
But, you know, I did see the smile come over Chris's face, like, and he knows something that we don't know, and he probably won't tell us anyway, but I saw that smile. I thought, we'll have to talk later, it seems like.
I see a question. Do you see compositing as a task for artist ending? I mean, you know, if you're an artist, you're going to be an artist. You're going to figure it out. You're going to change things. You're going to get into something else. You're going to art something else. So, you know, if you are creative, you can get creative and get into Unreal and learn a little bit more Unreal. That it's more requested now, but as far as we know, there is always a request for compositors. Always, always, always.
Never enough.
Never enough. Never enough.
Even in real time, Saker in real time, is there always huge requests for compositing?
For real time, yeah, for sure. Like even in virtual production, like compositors know color, right? And
Yes.
if you're dealing with virtual production, I mean, it's a color cluster, you know,
Yeah.
for sure. There's so many different variables to deal with. So finding good quality artists that are compositors and I think the compositors in general have been kind of like becoming like, you know, yes, they're 2D, but they're moving to like 3D as well, because a lot of compositing is done in 3D.
Yeah.
I mean, you fire up V-Ray for Nuke, you get a couple of VDBs in, and you got clouds, you know, or you get alembics in, you got water.
Our compositors, you know, a CG guy might provide them something, and then instead of having to go back to CG to tweak it, our compositors are tweaking it themselves, right? They can hit a button and change a shader and tweak it and then get it back themselves. They don't have to go back through the 3D pipeline, you know, that sort of thing. So I would almost, there's two people for sure. 3D modelers and compositors, I think, are like the key people going forward. You need people that create 3D content, like you said, like building New York City, texture in it, you know.
What they found is that nowadays from mega scans, you can get a lot of stuff. You can get a lot of stuff from the marketplace for Unreal. You get a lot from a lot of other places. A lot of the good modelers went independent, and they're doing their stuff, and they're making their own product. And they found that more fulfilling because they see the cash coming in without having to answer notes. You know, imagine you make a product as an artist. It's kind of strange because you make a product and you don't get notes.
Do we need modelers to go through and sort through all the volumetric data that was supposed to come in clean?
Volumetric data, there's optimizing that data for real-time playback. I mean, there's so many different. One thing about our industry, anybody who gets into our industry, I feel like they can morph into any position. Like at some point, it kind of all blends together. You got to be creative. You got to have the right eye. I think it'll be success. Like, I wouldn't worry about it.
I've done everything I've done 3D tracking, compositing, CG, water simulation. End up doing everything because by nature, you're curious about things. And you always think you're better than others. You know, as an artist, you go always like, oh, I can do that better. Just give me 10 minutes. I'll learn that software. It becomes like a couple of months, but you know, you get there.
I mean, but there's not necessarily a school to become a CTO. There's not, these people don't just get born into this. Somehow they morphed somehow in their own weird ways.
I went to art school, Academy of Art College. I have a background in kind of architecture as well. My family owns a construction company back in Jersey. You know, it just kind of all blends together, and you learn, you know, autodidactic, I would say, when it comes to networking and infrastructure and computers and that sort of thing. It's kind of... It's
troubleshooting, right? That's all
common
it is.
Sense. Common sense.
Yeah, I like to call it professional tinkerer, right? We like to pull things apart, you know, whether it's computers, shots, you know, getting stuff through the pipeline, tweaking the farm for, you know, peak optimization. It's just constantly tinkering and tweaking things.
Yeah.
Oh, your mother had a handful, Chris. Your mother had a handful.
I've disassembled many of computers and pissed off lots of family members.
all wireless phones, all those old school cordless phones broken. Like I would just take them apart, trying to turn them into walkie-talkies. A lot of fun.
Well, that's the making of a CTO, is to actually go in there and want to know exactly what all these little things are and what they do, and make them work. Well, I do have a greater sense of hope coming out of this huge panel. I was enlightened. I feel very honored to have been the one up front to be able to ask the questions, and so I'm, for everyone that is on screen right here, right now, there's a couple thousand more of you out there. And I think for everybody else that's listening, I think what they're saying to you is there's plenty of room for you in this industry. Do not give up hope. Pick up something, start with modeling, go into lidaring and a couple drones, get yourself huge LED panels for your home. And I think that will do it. Don't drink coffee anymore, wear a mask. Did I sum it up?
Wear a mask.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
Get good internet connection.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cover your nose when you wear a mask, please.
Right.
And
Leonard,
did not cause COVID, so yeah.
do not cause COVID.
Do not
But
cause-
no, but they are, to folks at home, they are saying to you that this is going to go and come and go and come, and there's you got to be prepared to go in and you go out, go in.
You
and
can
go
still
out.
be an artist and work in visual effects in COVID. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That is for sure. It's one of the lucky professions where you can do that, right? I mean, there's a
Yep.
lot of jobs where you can't. You got to physically be out there. So
Lovely. I want to just kind of call Leonard back in here because he is the producer of this meeting and thank him. And Sunil, you're welcome to come back in too. Elizabeth, I see you lurking out there. These people, if there's anybody that wants to actually ask anything directly, now's your chance because we're going to be wrapping up this thing here real soon. We have to let Aldo off the hook a little bit. He is on a work schedule also out there in Atlanta. So turn on your mics if you actually want to ask anything, or are we good, Leonard? Did we hit every single point there was to be hit?
Yes, you did. And I want to thank all the presenters who came by, Zachary, Christopher, and Aldo. We had a fantastic panel today, and Joan, thank you so much for moderating the discussion. You did a great job keeping it together and pushing it forward and keeping the conversation very lively.
thank you. This is great.
Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks.
Oh, well, Washington, D.C. has said goodnight, so that must mean that it's time to call it a day. I could keep you for another hour, but I think Aldo would maybe shoot me from a drone.
The truth of the matter is that I'm gonna go and play. I'm gonna go and play with Unreal right now after all this. Okay.
Is that right? That's your after hours hobby?
Oh yeah, of course. This is my hobby. I'm so lucky. You have no idea. I mean, people do not understand when you get the bug, and you're like, people tell me I cannot do this. So I'm gonna show them how I can do it. I can do it on my own, and I can do it better than anybody else.
Amen.
Being an artist at the end of the day.
Well, it's an artist and a solutionist rolled into one. Knowing that you wake up in the morning and you can do anything because you're equipped to do anything. So what do you want to do?
I do not believe in somebody coming and giving you a solution. I do not believe that. It's never happened in my life. I'm an immigrant. My story is the story of an immigrant coming back, being deported, coming back again, getting married, and then trying to find my way through the music business, and then as an editor, and then as a visual effects artist. And people don't give you anything if you don't give anything.
Well, there is that.
You gotta give your all.
Yeah.
Otherwise, nobody's gonna come and save you. Like there are people that think, especially in Europe, and I don't want to talk bad about Europe, but where I come from, there is a lot of waiting for the government to help you out.
Right.
I learned that you help yourself. You watch as many YouTube videos. You buy as many books as you can in the things that make you tick. Read as many SIGGRAPH papers as you can. Seriously. And then, hit your head against the wall, and then you'll figure something out that maybe nobody else has.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's actually pretty easy because you're put in a situation like, can you please figure this out by 4 o'clock tonight? And, a little pressure goes a long way. And you probably can. Absolutely come up. Look at these guys right here. They're like, oh, we got a week to turn over the whole company.
Oh yeah, and by the way,
and boom, done.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, right? Can you do this? And by the way, there's no rule book or rubric on how to do it. Figure it out. Okay.
And Chris, in my book, you did it once, you can do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys aren't panicked at all. Anyway, this is just a note to everybody else out there, the CG workforce. Just keep it going. The work is keeping on, and the work will not stop. It's just going to keep going. So keep those hopes up. Keep your eye out for your friends, making sure that their spirits are up too. Keep inspiring everybody that you possibly can. And remember to join the LA SIGGRAPH chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I do that right, Janelle?
Yes, you did.
Oh,
Attendees still here. If you find any of your friends or coworkers that want to see this, this will be up on our YouTube channel sometime later this month.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
And now do we play Aldo's show reel?
No, please don't.
Let's
All
see.
queued up, Aldo.
No. It's just the work we did on Babysitter. It's a Netflix. Do you guys know the
blowing
movie?
people up.
You know the movie? There is a evil babysitter going and slaughtering people. Just the fun that we had. We did the entire thing during COVID.
Somebody paid money for that.
It was wonderful because let me just tell you one last story. It never happened to me that the director of a movie gets on a Zoom conference with all the artists and say the name of every single artist and thanks them personally. I tip my hat to McG, a wonderful man that I worked on with this movie, a wonderful improviser of things that came out just like they were supposed to be. Some are quirky, some are not for the real.
You say McG?
McG, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
You gotta go shoot guns with him when you get a chance.
There are a lot of great people out there, even within our executive council of the Los Angeles SIGGRAPH. We're all volunteers. It's nonprofit. No one's getting paid. But there's an energy that when we come together, we can do anything, including a 6-hour lovely thing that we did in August. I don't know why I did that, but everyone just came up and said, okay, we support you, and we did it. You can come up with any crazy idea that you want in the nonprofit world, and you can actually get support of it anywhere in the world. The SIGGRAPH chapters are on the website. There's a lot of them, I've learned, and they all have different types of interests as you go around the world. There's that time zone thing, but they all still love working together. So right now, you can use SIGGRAPH. Now that we are global, we are no longer, there's Los Angeles, there's Vancouver, we're global, and we're all linked together, and we're all at home, so we can all talk to each other. So you can do also anything you want creatively. SIGGRAPH is a good place to test out those things that nobody will pay for the big screen or for the games. So we're here for you. We hope you all come back. I really, really enjoyed tonight, and I'm so grateful for all of you. You've done amazing work.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right. Say good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, guys. Thank you so much.
Good night.
All right. Hang it up, Leonard. Poof.